In early 2002, like most Americans, I was still reeling with the shock and grief of 9/11. Islamophobia and hate crimes against Arabs were at an all-time high, and I received an email.
Dear Professor Robert, I write to you from the Sultanate of Oman on behalf of the Association of Early Intervention for Children with Special Needs. We are at an early stage of development and are in great need of assistance. We have up to 60,000 children in need of help, but only a few thousand are currently being served. Will you by any chance be in the area so we can have the opportunity to meet you?
My experience as a psychologist, author, and parent of an adult child with autism had drawn their attention, along with my Arab American heritage. I had not anticipated being in the area, but I was excited for this opportunity. I needed a special clearance to fly to the region. To my surprise, the next day I received a voice message from the White House. I later spoke to the former ambassador to Oman, who briefed me about the politics and culture of the country. He let me know that my safety was assured and encouraged me to go. The poster child for the fundraiser, who has a hearing impairment, has the same name as my son, Tariq. I met children, volunteers, family members, and government officials. I needed an interpreter at times to translate. As I met the adorable children and their loving mothers and fathers, I saw firsthand that the human heart has no borders. The fundraising dinner was the first telethon in this country's history. Families, professionals, government officials, and members of the royal family and the international community, including the U.S. ambassador, attended. My comments were televised and reported in the local press. Before leaving, I visited the desert, where people lived as they have for centuries. I also saw museums and the market in the capital city of Muscat. I left Oman immeasurably enriched. In 2008, Dr. Cindy Ariel and I co-edited Voices from the Spectrum. The founder of the Kuwait Center for Autism, Dr. Samira El-Saad, wrote one of the chapters. Dr. Samira founded this center in 1994 to meet the needs of her own daughter and others throughout the Arab world. In 2011, our book was translated into Arabic. In 2013, my latest book, Autism in the Family, was published. In 2014, I was invited to speak at the World Autism Congress in Kuwait. There were over 500 people attending from over 30 countries and 4 continents. This conference was simultaneously translated into Arabic and English. This father came with his son to learn how to help him. Stephen Shore and I chatted with this young man with autism from Saudi Arabia. The outpouring of parents and professionals eager to learn came from around the world. Before leaving, I toured the ruins from the 1990 occupation of Kuwait by Iraq. A visit to the old city and the souk completed my first trip to Kuwait. As we can see, Kuwait City has a striking contrast of the old and the new. In 2015, I was invited to the annual symposium at the Jeddah Institute for Speech and Hearing in Saudi Arabia, which has an early intervention program for children with autism. This young woman came with her little brother to learn how to help him. This family thanked me for helping them understand that they didn't have to fix their child. These men spoke eagerly about the changing role of fathers in their society. I had lunch with some of the therapists. As is the custom, men and women ate separately, but the families could eat together. I talked to a colleague and learned about the Center for Autism Research in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, through their exhibit at the conference. These ABA therapists enjoyed learning how to work effectively with parents and celebrate their children's progress as partners in the family journey to acceptance and resilience. Energized by 2 days of learning, the staff came together at the end of the symposium. A visit to the old city and the Naseef historical house. No relation that I know of, however. Here's the modern skyline of Jeddah, not exactly what most Americans expect when we hear about places in the Middle East. Then I was back to Kuwait in 2015 for the first of several visits to help make a difference with families for autism diagnosis and consultation about how to help their children. Mothers and fathers there were asking the same questions I anguished over about 30 years ago when my son was diagnosed. Is there a cure? Will my child ever talk? What about the special diets? Can my child have a relationship? Will my child ever be independent? How can we help our child? And other common but important questions. I help them find hope through increased understanding of autism, alongside love and acceptance. A trip to the Avenues Mall, much like any mall in the West. In the souk or the Mubarakia, I stopped by my favorite stand to buy dates to bring home. In 2016, I gave an evening lecture at the center. Again, translated into Arabic. I was surrounded by parents and family members after the lecture. We are hardwired to respond with compassion to each other's joys and sorrows. This growing connectedness in the world has the potential to tear down barriers and unite us. Here we see staff members meeting with families, directed by Dr. Samira and her leadership team. My next stop was Singapore and the St. Andrew's Autism Center, where people with autism are the very colors of life. Over 100 teachers and therapists from 10 countries came to a 2-day training about inclusion of children with autism. There were many lively discussions and conversations about key concepts over lunch and breaks. Fully engaged and eager to try out the strategies they had learned, people stayed for a group shot after the training. While in Singapore, I took advantage of the opportunity to do some sightseeing around this beautiful island city-state. In 2017, I was back for another 2-day training on autism screening and diagnosis, again attended by over 100 professionals. Participants were excited to put into practice what they had learned. Also, that month, my book was published in Chinese and nominated there for a literary award in the social sciences. Then I was back to Kuwait for the Gulf Autism Union, listening to parents and professionals as I teach and travel internationally. My understanding of our shared humanity deepens. We chatted with a friendly Palestinian family over dinner in the souk, and I saw a sunset over the Arabian Sea. My son Tariq, who does not speak, has opened the world to me in ways I could never have imagined. No matter the color of your skin, how you dress, how or if you pray, the language you speak, we are all one human family. And now more than ever, we need bridges, not walls, for our children and families. Thank you so much for listening, and may peace be